Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Kobe Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source, the latest in news.
Good evening. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
And welcome to The Source. Kobe, this week, we've been bragging and we've been talking about how the city police department is doing a phenomenal job, making some progress, some serious progress. So we was hoping that we didn't have a shooting this week, but we did find ourselves with a shooting this week. And many of you may be saying, well, where was this shooting at? This shooting happened where the owner of a dog, he was loading some stuff in his car and he shot his dog. So I don't want to make too light of it because you know how y'all activists will come after me saying, well, you made too much light of it. But it was a shooting this week. And matter of fact, in whose district? First, what do you know about it? And then let's get into the other parts.
So one, it happened Tuesday earlier this week, Tuesday morning, again on Lombardy Street. As the 44-year-old man was pulling something out of a bag, the gun, a 9mm gun, fell out and shot the dog. I guess the dog was right next to him at the time. The dog is okay. The dog's wounded, but okay. Yeah. When Wilmington police had a search warrant when they came back out to the place, that was carried out in the 1100 block of Lombardy Street. They recovered a .38 handgun, a 6.6 grams of crack cocaine, and 1.6 grams of marijuana. The 44-year-old man was taken into custody at Howard R. Young, and he's currently being charged with possession of a felony by a person prohibited on 4 counts, carrying a concealed deadly weapon, possession of a controlled substance, tier 1, is being held on a $112,000 cash-only bail.
Now, well, then help me. With all the activists that we have out there, how come he's not held for attempted murder?
There's certain, the way the laws are written, they're written to protect humans.
Oh, humans.
There's other charges that they could bring: cruel and unusual, inhumane torturing of an animal and stuff like that. Those are usually misdemeanors, not criminal offenses. But I think because they were able to kind of look and see with that search, they were able to get more evidence. They went with the charges they went with.
Because a person who has 2 dogs, I think that he should have been dealt with for the dog too. But I'm glad that the dog is all right. The city of Wilmington has done very good with making sure that our shooting is down to a minimum. But I do want to report all shootings because that's important. And I still say they should have charged him with some kind of account for what he did to the dog. Dogs are men's best friends, or people's best friends. You see how the dog was right there with him and even got shot. I wonder if the dog could tell whether or not that was his cocaine or not. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe.
Whether or not that was his marijuana and stuff like that. But I guess the dog wouldn't have been like some buddies. He was like, nah, that's my owner and he's feeding me. I want to move a little bit further. There was a meeting on Wednesday.
Yes.
With dealing with this whole correction facility that is being closed in Wilmington. There's a whole lot of moving parts to that. Did you get a chance to get information on that?
Yeah, so on Wednesday, at the Palo Wilmington, there was a meeting held by Councilwoman Darby about the closure of the Plumber Center. Now, the Plumber Center is one of the only level 4 facilities. Actually, it is the only level 4 facility for men here in Newcastle County. And what level 4 is the work release program, right? So you are not considered as dangerous, still have time to serve, but you're able to go home on the weekends, you're able to get a job and start getting ready for your full-on release, right? That program is closing. They're moving the actual program down to Sussex, Georgetown, Sussex Correctional Institution. And people have been very upset about that. it has been a pushing off project for a long time about closing it or actually fixing it up. The DOC, the Department of Corrections, has said numerous times, oh, the building's too old, it's the oldest building in our facility, which is a half-truth. There are multiple buildings over there. I believe it's 8 or 9 buildings. One building, which they do not use any longer, and haven't used in decades, is the oldest building structure that DOC has. The rest of the buildings was built in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm actually older than a few of those buildings.
And you're not that old.
And I'm not that old.
Yeah.
But the
You may
DOC,
look that old, but you're not that old.
but the DOC has decided that they wanted to close this, mainly because of a $1.9 million HVAC capital project that they don't want to fund, while they're funding $15 million into their other facilities right now. So that has left us with the governor making the final decision that they will be closing in March. That means everyone who's currently sentenced there will be reassigned or put on GPS tracker, and the staff will be reassigned as well too. And I've had a lot of conversations myself with the staff over there, with the union over there, with the residents as well too, and former residents. And people wanted to see this open, but what they also don't want to see is, if it is going to close, they don't want to see it turned into a luxury apartments. They want to see it fit into the neighborhood, and they want community input on it. They want to make sure that they have affordable housing if they are going to turn it into housing there. And there's multiple different things that are being thrown around right now, so nothing's set in stone. There's multiple developers who've inquired about it and everything. So again, going forward, we'll see what happens there. But the councilwoman, she had a community meeting, and it was mainly talking about what the community can do. She asked them to sign on to an organizational letter and a community letter. It gave space to former residents, inmates there, to speak out about their experience there and how it's helped get them back on their feet and everything. Unfortunately, none of the people who have the power to keep it open was in attendance.
Did she invite them?
From my understanding, they were invited. The governor's office was invited, and DOC was invited, but they chose not to come.
Okay. Now, and which is a little concerning, but I understand that they're closing the facility down.
Yes.
They are reassigning. Where are they? Do you know where they're reassigning this? Not the prisoners, but the staff.
So they have given the staff the opportunity to pick 2 places that they would prefer. And from my understanding, most of them have picked either Gander Hill or Baylor, which is the women's prison, because they're in Upper Newcastle County, right? So you're going a little further, but not all the way down Sussex, not to Smyrna or something like that. From my understanding, the ones who have currently been reassigned have all got their first placement. But you have 88 staffers there. You're not going to pay 88 new staffers at one new facility. So there are probably going to be some people who don't get 1 or 2, their first or second pick. So and they'll get assigned to.
It's
somewhere
done by
else.
seniority, I'm sure.
Yes.
Because of the union.
Yeah.
Now, is there a different level of training that would be needed for them to leave of level 4 to go into, whether it be Baynard or another?
Training, no. So all the correctional officers get the same training, same hours, except for if you're on a specialized team, like the riot team or something like that. You get extra training, but they all get the same base training. The only difference is the reality of what you're doing is going to be different, right? Where at the Plumber Center, they're not walking around shackled up all the time.
Okay.
They're not the most violent people. They've maybe had drug charges and now coming back into the community, something like that, but has shown that they're not a violent person, right? Now, when you're in the level 5, that's everyone, right? That's from people who have murder charges all the way down. So it's a different kind of reality that you'll be in.
Now, when you shared that there were some community people there, but there was no decision makers, one of the things that came in my mind was, do you, when the decision, who will make the, I guess, who will make the decision of what will go into that space or get that land?
Yeah. So as of right now, the Department of Corrections still owns it. Most of the time, when land like that, that the state stops using, it gets transferred from whatever department has it over to the Secretary of State's office to kind of maintain the office until they sell it, right? So they have full site control right now, but it'll be the state that has the final say on what they do with that property. And it's very similar to right down the street, the state purchased the old Rite Aid building for site control reasons, because they had just built a library right next door. So again, trying to understand where everything's going to go and who best fits what the community wants. But it will be the state that has the final say on it.
Okay, which we hope that you think there will be some hearings or some conversations with the community, given that there were some people who did have an interest. They had this meeting over at the Powell Center, so there was some interest in what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think that the community will get an opportunity to voice what they desire to be there? I heard you talk about affordable housing, but who's hearing that?
Yeah.
If nobody was there to be able to.
Yeah. So it's been brought up numerous times. This is the second meeting that's been held about this at the PAL. The Civic Association, where the facility is, has been very vocal about this. And every chance I get, no elected official that represents that area has not heard that Civic Association said, if y'all do close it, we want nothing but affordable housing there.
Okay.
So it has been voiced to them. It's been sent in emails as well too. I've had the Civic Association president reach out on their behalf to all the electeds as well too. So if anyone tries to say, "Oh, they didn't know," they're lying.
Okay. Well, that's what we'll be paying attention to that as we move forward. I just want to do an update, given that, because we share with you all, those of you who watch us every week, we had shared with you that we were going to reach out to the governor's office to try to get an understanding of some of the concerns that people had of not being able to have some responses from the governor's office as it relates to some of the concerns that Wilmingtonians have. And when I reached out twice, I did not get a response. So that's kind of scary that, I am not getting a response, and neither are some of the people. So that maybe fit into the system that maybe they are just not responding. But I'm going to reach out again, because one of the things we cannot forget is that while this is not an election year, we don't want to wait until the election time comes for people to start becoming more visible and sharing and responding to the concerns. There have been a plethora of concerns that people have that we really need to start addressing. And this whole issue, and a lot of it stemmed from when these vouchers occurred late from the governor's office. They did get the vouchers, but the amount of time it took to get the vouchers is what the issue was. Yes. So we are going to continue to reach out to the governor's office and just try to get a response. I reached out. I wanted the chief of staff to come on. Maybe the governor's just too busy. I don't know what his role, how much he has to do, but he has a whole staff. He has a litany of people who do different things. And what we wanted to do is get an answers about, there are some specific things we can ask. Why was it delayed? Why is things happening? But Wilmington got him into that office, and I want to make sure that is not forgotten. And the people in Wilmington need to be able to, and not just the elected folks, like the governor. I'm not too sure if the mayor supported. I don't want to get into the politics of it, because I'm not sure. I don't want to get into that politics part, but I do know. I am one who did support the current governor, and I want to make sure that that the people of Wilmington, of which I represent, are being heard, are being treated fairly, and not overlooked. And right now, it appears that they are being overlooked, because when I call in and can't get a response, then there's a problem. Right. So we're going to continue to do that. So I will make sure I continue to keep you all posted on where we are as it relates to getting some response from the governor's office. We have some specific things we want to ask about, but we also want to make sure that there is an open flow. Maybe they need to get a person who will be representative from his office to really handle the Wilmington area. I don't know, but we're going to figure it all out, okay? Let me talk a little bit, if I can just turn your attention a little bit to ICE. In Minnesota, people are saying Trump's trying to save face, What is going on? He's now removing everybody. What is happening?
He is. On Wednesday of this week, the border czar, Tom Homan, announced that they are going to be concluding their operation in Minnesota. This comes after thousands and thousands of people have taken to the streets, not just in Minnesota, but all across the United States of America. 2 U.S. citizens were killed, executed by ICE federal agents. And the press conference itself was very weird. Holman, he praised the work that they did there, and praised that it was a significant decrease in agitators, and all local officials were grateful that they were there, which is very different from the actual mayor of the city saying, "Get the F out my city."
Yeah, I heard that too. Yeah.
The attorney general, the governor, everyone saying, "Stop what you're doing." In their mind, they're taking that as praise.
But they only responded to an audience of one. So whatever they're doing, even with the woman before Senate, before the Congress, as long as the president is happy with what they're saying, they can kill us what we think. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And what happened in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, they put 700 immigration agents in that city. That is almost unheard of. Right? And on Wednesday, they announced that they're going to start reassigning them back to the border, which if 700 of your little foot soldiers were there, who's protecting the border, right? But this all stems from Doge and Elon Musk, and when they cut all these senior officials all across all these departments, and then came out and said, "Oh, who wants to be an ICE agent? We'll give you a $50,000 signing bonus." They cut the requirements for training from a 6-month program, which is still not enough training, to a 6-week program.
47 days.
It is insane, right? And then you this is what you get from it, right? You get U.S. citizens who ICE has no authority under being executed, being shot. You have the NRA, an organization that I have not agreed with ever, because every time it's a legally armed black man who is killed, they're nothing. But Alex, he was a white man, ICU nurse, legally had a gun, legally had a right to carry a concealed weapon on him. He had no crimes whatsoever. And when the Trump administration tried to come out and say no good person would carry a gun to a protest,
they lost it.
Well, did he forget about his rallies?
He must have.
Did he forget about January 6th? Did he forget about the Charlottesville in 2017 when he said, "Oh, it's good people on both sides"? When literally people who said they were Nazis, people who said they were the KKK, the sons of the Confederacy, marched with their little shields and their AR-15s in Charlottesville over the statue of Robert E. Lee being removed. That was all cool. But someone he disagrees with, one person he disagrees with, now it's bad. And the NRA spoke out against it. His own members started turning on him because now, wait, you're supposed to be the pro-Second Amendment president.
Absolutely.
But
it didn't fit his narrative.
It didn't fit his narrative. And you see this continuously with Trump. So I am glad that they are pulling out of Minneapolis. Don't you dare send them over our way on the East Coast. Because if you think you had trouble out there, you're going to have a whole lot of trouble on the East Coast. You tried it in Chicago. You tried it in Detroit. Philly different.
That's right. I mean, I think Philly was waiting too. But I think they're going to chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we gonna say, go ahead. You going to say something else?
No, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
but they tried it a lot of places, but I just think that it was a disgrace for how he just acted as if we're gonna save face and we're now gonna pull down. We've done so much success here and we've made the people feel so great here, and I don't know where that was coming from, but it's interesting when you can just sit and hear a person lying and they are convinced of their lying. But I come to the conclusion they are just interested in pleasing the audience of one. Donald J. Trump. Yep. And as long as Donald J. Trump is happy, I'm happy. And if you would have watched that that congressional hearing with that crazy woman.
With the Attorney General?
Yeah. Was it Pam somebody?
Patty Bond.
Patty Bond, listen, that was just unbelievable how she attacked the Congress people, how she just came out. But as long as the president is sitting there happy, they're fine. But some of this stuff is going to turn on them. As he leaves office, I don't know how many crimes there are. One person said you just perjured yourself. She needs to pay attention to that, because when he's not there to give her a pardon,
right,
that stuff can come back to haunt. So people need to really pay attention to that, but let them be what they are and say what they want to say and do what they want to do, and we're just going to let them be who they are. That's how it is. Kobe, let me take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to come to the Kobe's Corner and see what you got for us there. We'll be right back.
Home. It's the place where we go to feel secure, safe, and loved. But for thousands of youth living on the streets, there's no such thing as home. Out here, it's a predatory world that can destroy lives forever. At Covenant House, we give at-risk youth a place to go where they feel safe, supported, and people care about their future. A place to call home. To help or get help, go to safeplacetosleep.org.
And we're back. Kobe, what's going on with the Kobe Corner?
Yeah, so usually when I talk about what's going on a federal level, it has to do something with a policy or something.
Yeah.
Not today. When I could have talked about other things, but I really want to talk about during Black history. We had a sitting president take to social media and post a video depicting former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes, and then defended it. Then had his press secretary, who's 24 years old, whose parents probably gave I don't know how much money to Donald Trump, get out there and say, people are faking outrage about this. It's just a clip from The Lion King. Well, in The Lion King, there was no apes.
At all.
There was
I said that in my sermon today, yeah.
But there was no apes. So they were strategically put into this video on purpose. And again, I don't think there has been any clear message that everything Trump wants to do, the reason why he even wanted to run for president, not because he disagreed with Obama's policies, not because he was getting taxed more, not because he was under investigation, but because a black man did it.
Yeah.
And how dare a black man try to outdo him? The only thing he's done better than President Barack Obama is get indicted more. 0 to 33.
Well, the tan suit, he was indicted.
Oh, the tan suit. Yeah, the tan suit. The worst thing they could get in 8 years on the Obama administration was how dare he wear a tan suit. That's not presidential. Meanwhile, you have a man who is here talking about grab him by the, talking about he can walk down, Fifth Street and shoot someone and his base will still love him. It's true. He faked the assassination. You can't tell me that wasn't catch up. He has defrauded millions of Americans. The average person taxes are skyrocketing right now, while billionaires and millionaires are getting tax cuts because of how they rewrote the tax code. Because someone still has to pay. It's not that we're cutting back spending. We're spending more. Someone has to make up the difference. So again, Trump is a racist.
Yes.
His administration is operating like racists in the
Yes.
KKK.
Yes.
The Trump administration from 2025 to whenever he's out of office is the dream of David Dukes and almost every grand wizard of the KKK has ever had. This is what they wish they could do. And you're seeing this in every policy. Slashes to SNAP, slashes to Medicaid, slashes to Medicare, all because, it's black people who are welfare leeches.
That's what they think.
He has a health secretary who used to snort cocaine off of toilet seats, who admits it, but the issue in America is people eat too much junk food. Not the issue is, hey, the cost of living is just too expensive. It's easier to buy cheaper things. And unfortunately, those cheaper things, because of how much you have stipend production here in America, happens to be the mass-produced stuff.
Right.
You have a president who has now looked at schools who are saying, hey, we're spending too much on healthy food. Can you give us more money? He said, absolutely not. We're going to take away the requirement to have healthy food.
Horrible.
But we're also going to take away the health care for the kids. We're going to change the work requirements. So now we know people take advantage of you. Now they can really take advantage of you, and you still don't get any benefits. Because still in America today, you have employers who will have employees work until a half an hour before that mark, in which they're supposed to get more benefits. And you just increase that.
Yeah.
So this is the Trump administration. I am tired. I'm fed up with it. I'm sick of these black Republicans coming out and saying, this is the most racist.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't believe it.
Yeah. Why can't you?
And then their white wives coming out and say, oh, it's not that bad. And then
laughing because that's the truth.
they're probably shocked. Oh, I thought you supposed to be with. No. You was just a good one. You look good. Shut up.
You was the only one available most times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as they're running for higher office, and Tim Scott, the longest serving African American senator, who is was in Congress, represents South Carolina, Republican, ran for president against Trump. This is what you're dealing with. And people are disappointed in you. People are tired of this antics. And black people, black Republicans are now speaking out. And they're appalled that this is happening in their community. Oh, well, you voted for this.
That's right.
So, that's all I have for that portion.
Yeah.
Now we can get into the policy.
Yeah.
So all across Delaware, students are speaking up and walking out of school in support of other activists who are calling for mass walkouts about what's going on with ICE. And you have school districts who are threatening action here. There was actually a law here in Delaware that students get 1 day that they can do actions like this, civic engagement actions. They're not leaving the school grounds. They're just making their voices heard. It's protected under the First Amendment right. And young learners at Sussex Central, they had hundreds of them walked out of school in protest to what ICE is doing, right? And every great movement is led by the youth.
Yeah.
Again, Indian River, they are trying to discipline the students right now.
For walking out?
For walking out. They didn't leave. But they did call the state police, and 7 state police responded. Again, infringing upon these kids' First Amendment rights, infringing upon their state rights that is guaranteed to them due to the law that they are allowed to do this 1 day. So, again, I hope that the ACLU represents all of them, and that the school district down there, which is known to be a very racist school district.
That's what I was going to ask you, because before you, I don't want you to, I don't want to forget this. So those children who walked out, the protesters,
Yeah.
are they African American or are they mixed?
They're everything.
Okay, so
They're
they're really
white, black,
okay.
brown.
All right, because that's a very racist area
It is.
and district as well.
It is. They're it was a multiracial group that walked out. Over 200 of them walked out together, had their signs, stayed on school property, and the school was trying to take action against them. For the seniors, they're trying to say that they will not allow them to graduate. This has nothing to do with academic. You let kids skip school all the time. You had a racist school board president who's now still on the school board, who called the coach over at Howard boy, you're not from around here, boy, and
Right,
all
I
these
remember
other
that.
things.
Yeah.
And then you had that school board president's brother, who was a principal, get in trouble for having pictures of young 18-year-old girl who was a senior at the time, pictures of her while she was in the locker room. They had put a camera up there. But y'all still let him keep his job, but now y'all want to punish these kids for speaking up. So this is what is going on down there right now. Taking it back to the policy side of things, Delaware is looking to make a major investment into early education, in the tune of about $50 million.
Okay.
Which Governor Myers put into his state budget. This is something that both he and he tapped Lieutenant Governor Carl Evans Gay to take the lead on managing the grant. But again, this is how do we strategically help that critical range for students, right? That 0 to 5 age range is the most important developmental stage for any person. And what we're seeing in our communities is the parents are overworked, underpaid, stressed, so they're not fully living out what they're supposed to be doing with their young kids. It's on us to also teach the parents what they're supposed to be doing, but you're supposed to be reading to them at a certain level. None of that goo goo gaga, all that. No,
Mother Reesing, they call it.
There we go.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be reading, and there's age-appropriate books that you can read.
Absolutely.
But the issue sometimes is it's hard for you to read to your child if you can't read yourself.
It's difficult. It's impossible.
It's if you can't read Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss yourself, how are you going to be able to teach your child? So now they are on an iPad. Now they're on TV, right? We have to do better as a state. And there's organizations that have popped up all over that is trying to address this. One of the ones that I've been following recently is Gift Connected, which is using AI technology to be able to help parents answer simple questions. And when it was first created, I was like, oh, parents they're not going to use this. Like, what do they need this for? My mom knew the answers. But we can see on the back end what are some of the highest asked questions of it. Well, they can see on the back end, and I got an opportunity to go through that process with them. But it's simple things. I ran out of formula. Can I just give them whole milk? At what age can I get rid of or stop buying diapers, right? Parent may have a 1-year-old and want to put them in underwear already, right? It's simple things like that that I didn't even realize that was an issue in our community. But we have to do better with making that connection. And for the students, when they are at these daycares and everything, most daycares should start moving towards that early learning. Don't just let them be there to play, but educate them, teach them.
Yeah, and that, let me just stop you there, because as an educator of the early education in the early education field, I've shared already with the governor. I don't know what they're going to do with this $50 million. One of the things they should not do is turn it over to the University of Delaware. The STARS program started under Markel, and he did a very phenomenal job with working and getting us up to snuff where we can pay our teachers a little bit, not nowhere near what they deserve. Let me say this to you. There is a belief that the only way of learning is through free play. I have not been an advocate of that. As a matter of fact, in order to maintain my STAR status, I have let it happen as a part of my program. We wrote our own curriculum so that we understand a child has to learn several things. One, that a love to learn. Okay, so that means you do have to make it fun. You have to give them opportunity to explore. The problem I keep seeing is that they're sticking with, hey, they got all the resources at home. Mom and dad is there to make everything right, and it's not the reality of a lot of our inner city children. So what we've been doing, and I think our success rate has been very, very strong, is that we've been making sure that we put them in a setting where, yes, there is some free play, but yes, there's also some work, not only work, but there's some homework, shockingly. I can't say too much because I'm going to get in trouble. There's some things that we do, even with the potty training. It's like, it's in our curriculum. When we start them, at the age of a little bit past 1, where we start getting them ready, talking to parents. I tell fathers, it's time for him to see you go to the bathroom. Now, that may sound a little kooky in the African-American community because we don't want to hear all that. Yes, but that's what, it's time for him to see you. And for mom, it's time for her to see you so that they can start equating. John Dewey, and I'm not going to use up all your time, but John Dewey is learning as we do. And that theory is what causes children to love education. My daughter, who had all the resources that she needed, because I was going to make sure of that, but she was a product of our school, but she's also a product of doing, showing her and letting her do it. So, Kobe, I don't know who is going to take over that. I heard you say the governor, the lieutenant governor is going to take it over. If they turn that over to the University of Delaware because they consider it to be the research institution, and none of us who have been a very strong advocates for inner city learning, where they can learn, it's going to be a serious problem. It's going to be a problem where there's going to be voices that's going to come out very strong. So I hear you. I hear it. It's in his budget. I did hear that. But I'm waiting to see how they're going to sign it. Because having $50 million just to go to a group who's going to spend more on administration than they on these children is a problem.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And it's been a problem not only for early education, but that seems how all Delaware education has worked for a long time. So definitely as they go through the process, they probably won't vote on a budget until June. So we'll be hearing more about programs that they're going to set up for that $50 million and how it's going to be distributed. So I'll definitely keep y'all up to date on that as well. And then lastly, I want to talk about city council and the local level of stuff. We are back and rolling. I have been working in Christina Park with the homeless for over a decade. And I came up with the idea of creating a subcommittee that works for a whole year on policy solutions that we as a city can do. And a part of that, when the original legislation was written, we said no public employee could, any publicly paid person could not be on this committee. When law told me about that, they were like, we put this in because city employees cannot create city policies. I said, okay, cool. What I didn't realize, and again, I am still learning myself, is that also, how it's written, it doesn't say city employees. It says publicly paid employees. So that would exclude anyone who works for the county, the state, the federal government, any professor here in Delaware, any professor anywhere at a college that receives public money, right? We did have a few professors who are knowledgeable in human services and stuff like that, policy development. We had someone who works on a federal level, a federal contractor, and we had someone who works with the state who has experience with Department of Health and Social Services, who all applied for this committee, and I did not want to exclude them from this committee. So I put forth an amendment to my original legislation when we brought forth the new one to take that part out. Still, no public elected official could be on it. No city employee could be on it. The names, it was 9 names. I gave it to all the council members, and there was an attempt to kill the committee because people on this council believe that subcommittees come up with reports and then we don't act on them. Mm-hmm. And I tried to explain to these same council members who kept raising this point, whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the people who, the subject matter experts who come up with well thought out policies for us, or is it the fact that y'all want to play politics?
The fact they want to play politics, but go ahead.
So I made calls to my council members individually, talked to them. Councilwoman Michelle Harley raised a concern with me. Mm-hmm. And I want to say thank you to her because she was the only one who was honest with me. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have an issue with this. Can you just, check with law, see what law says about this? I said, all right, cool. Even though law rewrote it for me, I went back just to clarify with them, get an understanding, went back, talked with her, we were cool. Mm-hmm. Everyone else, oh yeah, I'm cool with it. Get on the floor, and Councilwoman Oliver has a floor amendment already pre-drafted.
Interesting.
Now, mind you, we walked into the chamber together, came over, gave me a hug.
Wow.
Yik yak, get to the bill. I have a floor amendment. And you visibly see on my face during that committee meeting, like, I'm completely shocked.
Right.
But as any of y'all know, I always do my research on everything. So even if someone had an issue on it, I came prepared in case they did. And they tried to kill this committee. And this committee is to deal with the homeless because they didn't want a college professor and a employee who used to be the deputy fire chief, who now works for the federal government in Homeland Security, who has extreme knowledge of the services that would need to be rearranged. They didn't want them on there. So it passed, but Councilwoman Oliver and Councilman Johnson tried everything in their power to kill it, and that's just sad.
Who do they work for? Because, I've not had any negative interactions with Oliver, Councilwoman Oliver. Neither have I had any negative interactions with Johnson. But every time I turn around, I'm hearing that these two individuals are not a part of the African American community. No. It seems like if it's, I can understand sometimes we have things coming from the far right of the, far left, far left. So all right, I'm not with this, I'm not with this. But these two individuals seem like it doesn't matter what happens, they are both against it. And I'm sitting here saying, while you're talking, I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
We're dealing with the homeless situation, and it appears that they want it stopped. Maybe she want to build some more houses over there. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we want to talk about some of the checks that were cashed that should not have been cashed. I don't know. But whoever is funding them, I think, is causing them to not understand they have a charge to keep. And honestly, this is one of those soft spots with me. You're dealing with the homeless now. I'm at that place where after seeing some of the things I've seen, we got to do something. That's why I'm watching the Palmer Center. That's why I'm watching that hotel up there in Newark to see what they're going to do, because we're going to have to do better for our homeless population. And for any African American who understands how close that is to our community, we're not the only ones homeless. Don't misunderstand that. But for any person to just have no reason and to just say, you know what, we're going to find a way to block it, hug you. And then that reminds me, with Jesus, that's what Judas did. Judas hugged them so they can know that this is the one you arrest. So it's really scary and it's really sad. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. But I'm glad you do your homework.
Yeah, I always do my homework. But again, all this is a part of our bigger plan on, one, how do we address the main issue in the city of Wilmington right now, which is affordability. And I have more legislation that's coming out soon. My rental assistant legislation, literally getting updates on it at the moment. We're trying to get that out within the next 2 weeks, right? But this all, the number one root cause, if you talk to people, they couldn't afford to go anywhere else. Right. They're literally out on the street. There's not enough affordable housing here in the city of Wilmington. So again, we have to do something. We have to figure out a policy on how to actually meet the need for production, which is very interesting because how much the 10 units you did across the street, how much did that cost?
About a little over, it's over $2 million, about $2 million.
$2 million for 10 units, right?
Wait a minute, but now, let me just, since you asked that question and I did it publicly, I want to say this to you. It would not have cost that amount of money if I didn't put in as much as I put in. for what you're trying to do, you don't need all the luxuries I put in. Our seniors had to have the best flooring. Our seniors had to have the best air HVAC system. Our seniors had to have the best elevator. All of that is not necessary when you're trying to help somebody get on their feet. I'm not saying they don't need heat, because they do need heat. I'm not saying I'm not saying they don't need a floor. They do need a floor. But everything was upgraded. So you can just say, let's just say $1.5 million.
But I want to stop you. No, I'm going to use the $2 million.
Okay.
Because you were able to do 10 units with that $2 million. When you have a group that is receiving millions and millions and millions of dollars, like the Delaware Affordable Housing Group,
okay,
right, and they're getting free property, free land. They don't have to purchase the land; it's being gifted over to them, and they're still only doing 7-8 units at a time. It doesn't make sense to me at all. We are burning through taxpayer dollars, and then some of these properties they're building, then saying, oh, we can no longer sell them at an affordable point, or we can no longer rent them out, so we're going to sell them, and then you sell them at $350,000. You sell them at $320,000.
But you can be a little controversial. Matter of fact, you could take on the role of John J. Street and not be controversial like some other people who just want to make noise. It's time for people like yourself who are in city council to call for audits in these departments, because that will set the record straight, and that will stop some people. The administrative costs in some of these organizations is unbelievable.
That part.
It's unbelievable. I mean, when we're saying we're giving them $100 million to do this and they're only producing a little bit, it's because that's all that's really allotted for that. But what they're paying their executives, what they're paying their staff, what they're paying that we don't know where it's going is what the problem is. And I think it's time for some audits to be done.
I agree with you. But again, we just have to better utilize our time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we will.
That's all I have for today.
Well, that's what you say you have for today. We're going to come back, and I want to talk about the midterms, and I also want to talk about some updates with the city of Wilmington as it relates to their police department. They got another update, and I want to give you all. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Join us live for our weekly worship. On Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
One more time before you wake up in the wild. In your eyes, I see a flower slowly dying.
Together with the Nature Conservancy, you have the power to make a difference. For unspoiled nature, for beautiful wildlife, and for people everywhere. Together, we can find a way to ensure that all life on Earth can thrive.
Oh, in the wild, you're gonna make it. The moonlight is here to take you.
Our natural world needs us now. Every day, we lose more lands, waters, and the wild species that depend on them. To learn more, visit nature.org today.
And we're back. Real quick, Kobe, because we don't have a lot of time. We got two things we want to cover in this segment. The first cover is I want to say congratulations and hats off to the Wilmington Police Department. They have solved another mystery, another murder that happened in May of 2025. Give me some information on that.
Yeah, so there was a shooting May 2025 that it was a triple shooting, and the cops have officially arrested 20-year-old Rashid Earl and charged him with murder related to the crimes that happened on May 8th on East 22nd Street that left a 22-year-old dead and a 10-year-old girl and a 20-year-old woman shot and wounded. Earl is being held on a $3.2 million cash only bail. Again, cash only means you got to pay the full amount to get out. Being held on first degree murder and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, assault, reckless endangerment, wearing a disguise during the commission of a felony, conspiracy in the first degree. So again, they have done a great job. And then a second individual, Darren Hardin, was also arrested. And again, he's being charged with receiving stolen property valued at over $1,500 on 2 counts, and theft under $1,500.
Well, so they've been doing. So we can say that the women's police department is working.
Yes.
We can say that that they're even and they're not interrupting our community, shooting our people and beating them and throwing them up against walls and doing all that crazy stuff that the other mayor said they had to do in order to get these vicious, violent people away. But the more I see how wonderful they're doing, the more I say, man, I'm glad we stuck to our guns and saying that it can be better and we can do better.
Yeah.
We're not saying don't now. Now we're not saying do not. Now we're not saying don't fund the police. We're saying, okay, fund them as long as they're doing what it takes in order to make our community safe as it relates to not violating people's civil rights. Last thing I wanted to hit on real quick, because I really want to grab this today, is the politics that are going on across the country. There are some governorships that are up, but what I'm really looking at is that House and that Senate, because I need to make sure that Trump slows down. He's making some decisions that's going to impact us for years to come. Even though they are currently, he's doing it on an executive order, it's going to take a while to get that stuff unwind. He even did something with the EPA that is unbelievable. Here in Delaware, I know how essential it is to have those kind of safeguard rails. Where? I don't know where to start at, Kobe. I can talk about that, or I can just say, where are we with midterms so we can get this man out of here?
Trump is dismantling this country. They are already in talks with multiple Supreme Court justices about them retiring early so that he could appoint young people to the Supreme Court just in case they lose the Senate. You could see at least one retire prior to the November 2026 election.
Which one?
The one that may look like us but don't
No,
act like
he
us.
ain't never leaving that. He gonna be carried out. I hope anyway.
But in reality, I believe that the GOP are extremely nervous, and you see this from the White House. You don't start talking to Supreme Court justices if you don't think there's a possibility that you may be at a 50-50 standstill in the Senate, or that you may lose the Senate altogether. And I think, you see that, and you look at the House. And the House right now is a 1-seat difference because of resignations and deaths on the GOP side, which means the House is in play. The House will flip. Virginia's redistricting map was upheld, which means that they're changing from a 5-4 Democrat to Republican map to a 10-1 Democrat-Republican map. That is in response to Texas and Missouri all changing their maps. And the Republicans are upset.
Yeah.
The Republicans are upset. How dare you do redistricting? While the same Republican from Indiana who pushed for his state to redraw their lines is upset that Virginia just did it and picked up 5 extra seats for the Democrats.
And same thing happened in California, too.
Same thing happened in California.
Yeah.
And the courts upheld
Yes.
that California can use their maps.
That's gonna be
So
interesting.
now you have Texas and California have now offset each other.
Yeah.
Missouri picked up 1 Republican seat. Indiana picked up 1 Republican seat. And guess what? Virginia just picked up 5 Democratic seats. Florida, down there putting pressure on Florida to redraw. In Maryland, you have a Senate pro temp, a Democratic Senate pro temp that's holding up the redrawing of a map there to pick up 1 seat there. But the interesting fact is they just did a poll and overwhelmingly people support the redistricting. So again, we'll see how long those senators can hold out until they're able to come back in and do what they need to do to save this democracy. But it is all out war.
Yeah,
It's states versus states right now.
I see.
So we'll see what happens. I truly believe that the House is going to flip, and it will be a wide margin there. I believe the Senate is probably going to come down to a 50 or 51, 50-50 split, or a 51 majority by the Democrats.
And most of the stuff they have to get approved, is it a 60 or a 51 majority?
60.
So what about Supreme Court justice?
They changed the threshold to 50 on
The
that.
Democrats did that. I remember when they did it because they was like, y'all shouldn't have changed it because they wouldn't let Obama get anybody through. And I remember
Well,
that.
they changed it on a lower court. The Trump administration changed it for Supreme Court justices. They're the ones who, in order to get Kavanaugh through and Amy Coney Barrett, they had to do that.
Okay, so it's 50, and there are okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So we still trying to hope, pray, wish that some of these senators, we get enough senators to take over the Senate.
Correct.
We may not be able to remove them from office because you would need 60 votes unless they change the rules.
No, it's still 60 for that one.
Even if they decide to change the rule, can they change the rule?
No, not on that.
Oh,
Not
they can't
on
change.
impeachment.
Okay.
That's a constitutional.
Oh, that's a constitutional. I'm glad I have you at the table because I was trying to find a way to make it non-constitutional. All right. So now that we understand that that he may not be removed, but if we get enough, let's say if we didn't at one time Democrats have 60 senators.
Not since 2010.
Okay, so I do remember.
Yes.
I do remember. So I'm correct. So we at one point we did have 60. It can happen again. I know it's going to be hard, difficult, and almost impossible, but I believe the guy can do anything but fail. So we're going to just believe and trust because this guy is just different. And I've had issues with the Bushes. Mm-hmm. I've had issues with Ronald Reagan. I've had issues with others, but this is a level of overt racism, sexism, phobia. It's just unbelievable. And he does this, and the people. Everybody have their own interests, so they kind of like supporting them anyway.
Yep.
And that's just sad. But we're going to keep watching. How do you think we're going to do with? Is there any more comments on the race that's running for the Senate here in the state of Delaware for Nnamdi's position?
It's still going to be a close race, I think. I know that they're both out there talking to the community. I think this Plummer Center is going to be a big talking point for certain parts of the district, but it's a very mixed district. When they redistricted it this time, they made the first district less black, and that benefits one person.
Yes.
So again, I don't know if it was asked for because they could have pulled more minority votes into this district if they had to grow from somewhere else, but they chose to bring to dilute black power in this district. So again, we will see how this all turns out. But I truly believe, as of right now, I still think that Councilwoman Darby would probably beat State Rep Nnamdi.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're going to see. I'm waiting to see. Matter of fact, we're going to have them both on at some point to talk to them to see what they're doing and see if they're willing to come under the scrutiny of the Curry and Kobe questions that we would ask of them, because that's something we should do. I didn't know whether we should go with a debate or just go with bringing them on and talking to them and asking their opinion on various things that are going in and around their district as well as our state. Well, Kobe, I think we've covered everything that I needed to cover today. Is there anything else on your docket?
That's all I have for today.
Well, I will say to you, I'm getting ready to fly out of here, and I got to catch a flight, so I will be out of town for a minute or two, but I'll be back. We'll be back together next week. You going to come together next week?
We'll be back.
Right. Well, until the next time we get together, God bless.
Take care, y'all.
You've been watching The Source with host Dr. C.T. Curry and co-host Kobe Owens. Tune in every Sunday at 5 p.m. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest episodes.
Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a real good conversation. I'm excited. Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on. And let's get after it.